Hello, everyone. Welcome. As you're filing in, we'll have a few announcements here about the hackathon. Awesome. I think we almost have everybody coming in. Don't hesitate to drop a little hello or GM in the chat. Tell us where you're from. Kind of get the chat going, as it's pretty fun to see where everybody is across the globe today, as we have myself from New York, Junho from Asia as well. So kind of wide distance here, 12 hours apart. So pretty fun stuff that's going to happen. So you are in the right place. This is going to be the next workshop of the Layer Hackathon by Encode Club. Today we have an amazing workshop from AltLayer next. You are still able to register, so please register to the hackathon if you haven't already. I will post some links to do so, as well as some information on if you're not sure how to register or where to submit your project later, as well as going back and seeing kind of the previous workshops that AltLayer and some of the other sponsors have done. That will all be posted. So please kind of let me know if there's any questions, concerns there. Best way to reach me with all this is my Discord. You can ping me directly with individual questions, as well as I would love to chat with you guys one-on-one. I'll post my calendar so you can book a call with me one-on-one and talk about your project or any issues that you're kind of facing, etc. As well. So I think that's kind of it from my side. We'll kind of introduce finally our speaker for today and the workshop. So let's give a big round of applause for Junho from AltLayer. He's the head of product engineering at AltLayer. He's going to show us rollups as a service and why it matters today to build the next generation of dApps. So thanks so much for joining us today, Junho. We'll pass it over to you for the
thank you very much. Let me share my screen first. So I'm Junho from AltLayer. Basically, I'm the head of product engineering over there. And basically, this is the second workshop for AltLayer at Layer Hack. The first workshop has been conducted previously by my colleague Jimmy, who actually went through AltLayer as a L2 scaling solution, basically an optimistic rollup for Ethereum and other EVM chains. And in the previous workshop, he also has demonstrated how to connect to our devnet, how do you use certain toolings, for example, like bridges, faucet, how do you connect to the devnet via MetaMask, via hardhat, and I think he shared an example of it. So this presentation will be an extension of it. So this, rather than just talking about just L2 solution, L2 optimistic rollup as a solution, I'm going to just expand the scope a bit to bring it over to application-specific rollups, and in particular, how to, a rollup as a service, so that how can we scale the whole blockchain ecosystem easily and helping all the developer, making the developer life easier, much easier also. So let's start. So again, some story time first. Scaling prompt in 2022 is still a prompt today. You can probably see that in Layer 1 on Ethereum, you have the Yuga's Labs did NFT minting. There was a lot of congestion, massive congestion happening there. There are people burning away $1,000 worth of ETH and getting transaction failed. Good for ultrasound money, but not good for the end user in general. And if you take a look at other solution, other scaling solution, generic one, like for example, like Polygon, a generic computation EVM environment as a sidechain to Ethereum. Again, starting of this year, there's this sunflower game, and people were playing the game at some point in time. They took out lots of block space. I think 50% of the block space, that there is a massive congestion. And again, if we take a look at L2 is the year, this 2022 is the year of Layer 2, right? So L2. And again, Arbitrum has this Odyssey campaign. Halfway through, they have to pause it because, again, congestion issue. So you can see that 2022, we still haven't solved the scaling issue. And this, bear in mind that all this event doesn't happen in 2018. This happened just this year. So we haven't really scaled it because what we believe is that some of these application may not be well suited for, let's say, a generic computation platform, like what you see on Ethereum, Polygon, Arbitrum. Some may actually desire more application-specific block space, be it as a rollup solution, or be it as a L1, or even L3, or further on. So yeah. So one of the main reasons why they desire that block space is because different dApps has different dApp requirements. For example, for NFT mint, you realize that the transaction burst, that means during a short period of time, there's lots of transaction ongoing, but over the whole lifetime, transaction volume is getting lower and lower. There is no more minting transaction after the mint is over. And in terms of finality, I think for NFT minting, you actually don't need that fast finality. As long as your chain actually runs smoothly, transaction can get confirmed without getting congestion. Even if it's a finality or let's say 10 seconds, I think that's fine for NFT. But if you take a look at something that is more heavy, like a DeFi derivative, for example, like DYDX, you'll notice that they need very fast finality because price sensitivity is a big issue. And also transaction burst over time, it may not be as much as let's say NFT minting, but it's still pretty heavy when the market is very volatile and there's lots of trading behavior. And as for the lifetime of this, you will need DYDX to be running forever, whereas you don't need the NFT to be there anymore after that. And the same situation happened to SocialFi or GameFi or other stuff. Basically, the point I'm trying to make is that there is a very wide spectrum of dApps with very wide differences in requirement. This is something like what you see in your PC, in your laptop. For example, a game may run on just a Raspberry Pi, but a very heavy game may need a very powerful machine. This is the same story with blockchain, whereby everyone is, especially in an environment where everyone is sharing computational resources. So is Appchain the solution? Because we have seen people moving on to Appchain, so it might be a solution because you might have some dedicated block space, resources reserved for you, and so on. So let's take a look. So what are the wish lists for a dApp that want to go for Appchain? I think one of the main benefits for Appchain is that you have a full control over the native token. You want to do branding over your chain because you don't want it to be just, let's say, a chain like Ethereum or Polygon or whatever. You want to control the branding. You want to have a token, native token on your own, have a flexibility over the tokenomics, having native staking and all this. So with a native token, that is very useful for the dApps. And also block time, no one will complain block time being fast, so the faster is better. Delegated block space, I think this is the main reason why we need Appchain nowadays. Because you don't want people to be fighting for your block space when you are doing something important. When you are doing something important, you want it to be solely reserved for you. And also for some GameFi project, they may need custom limit for EVM, for example. Their contract may be very huge and they can't optimize it down. They can't launch on, let's say, Ethereum because Ethereum has been configured for a general purpose compute environment. They can't tune the limits to the extreme. If not, you will risk a lot of other issues. But in a delegated Appchain, this is actually possible to tune parameters because this is just for you and you won't. It's not for the generic computation environment. And lastly, bridging capability is always very good to have because Appchain always lets the vibrant ecosystem that is enjoyed on layer 1 like Ethereum. You don't have taxes, all the tooling, utilities. The bare minimum you need at least your tokens to flow between various chains to have some interoperability and so on. And what is the codebook to actually build an Appchain? And that is something not very trivial today. First, you need to figure out what is your requirement. and whether do you even need an app chain or not. And once you have decided whether you need an app chain, then you need to decide where you want to start building. You can use Cosmos, Substrate, AVAX, Subnet, Starnet, or do you want to fork Ethereum, or do you want to literally do a DIY solution of your own? And all these are non-trivial. You need to hire and train out a protocol development team on top of your dApp development team. Start building it, engage partner to run, let's say your validators, if you are running POS, or POA, or so on. And probably after a year later, because it's not realistic to actually launch something within, let's say, 1 month, 2 months, you can actually launch a network in the form of a devnet or a mainnet. And you have to maintain it 365 days. And you need to have a team ready to support 24/7. So some of the immediate problems with building your own app chain is that the upfront cost is very high. Computation cost is high because you need to do testing, you need to launch your own chain, build your own cloud infrastructure, and all this comes at a high build cost. And also in terms of manpower cost, you need to start hiring manpower that has the technical expertise, and that doesn't come cheap also. And you lose focus on building your core products, and you end up focusing building a chain instead of your product. And you may not have the technical expertise. Appchain take a long time. And lastly, I think Appchain, even if you successfully build an Appchain, it lack of a vibrant ecosystem. For example, if you build a game or you build a DEX, you build a game, you will realize that you don't have a DEX. You realize that you may not have a custody solution, you may not have a multi-sig, you may not have oracles, and so on. So even with Appchain, right, this is not the end of your problem. You still need to continue trying to enrich your ecosystem, trying to create a more composable environment with other chains through bridging, through other dApps, or more people building on top of your Appchain. So today's landscape for Appchain is as follows. First, you have running chain. I think that's the most popular one. They for Ethereum. Building this is very, very hard. Same for DYDX, which is built on Starnet. I think that is even a harder challenge. DeFi Kingdom or AVAX Starnet, I would say, is way easier. AVAX has made the life easy for a lot of people. They are able to launch a subnet easily. Probably a few months, you will be able to launch a subnet from testnet to mainnet and so on. And Yuga's lab probably still work in progress. Not sure how difficult is it for them to actually launch an app chain. So talking about Appchain, all this, you will realize that it takes a very long time. How come we can't do a Rollup-as-a-service or an Appchain as a service? Because today we have, in the Web2 world, we have AWS, we have Google Compute. All these are able to actually spin out an instance within 5 or 10 minutes. For a Rollup-as-a-service app or Appchain as a service, right? Probably we don't need it to be within 5 or 10 minutes, but let's say within a day or two, we should have something configured nicely, and that you can use it for your dApps, and not just trying to build a trying to build a team, trying to build your engineer, your L1 or your rollups and so on. So that is really too resource intensive. So what we are doing at AltLayer is basically simple. We are actually building two optimistic rollup, as mentioned in the first workshop also. But our rollups are actually quite flexible. So we have this thing called the short-lived application delegated rollups, very long name. Short name is called flash layer. Basically, is for rollups that you think that you only need it for 1 day, 2 days, 1 month, 1 year, or a few years. After that, you can do a end of life settlement back to L1 of your choice, or L2 or something like that. And you have something, the persistent one, whereby it is forever there, because you expect the utility to be ongoing forever. And all these are all optimistic rollups. Yeah. And what we are providing is actually on top of optimistic rollup, similar to what Optimism, Arbitrum, and so on. We are providing the ability to actually do a customization, easy customization. Don't need to go into code level and try and customize the code and so on. So for example, the most important thing is native token. You can customize your name, the token supply, and other stuff. You can customize limits. For example, a game, you need certain gas limits to be increased, contract size limit to be increased, block time to be decreased. Let's say Ethereum 12-second block time is too slow for you. You want something like 1 second, 0.5 seconds block time that is configurable. And also something more interesting is that gas mechanics adjustment. For example, if you are worried about NEV stuff, or if you are worried about gas price auction, you want it to be fair for everyone, whereby it can be like a first come first serve. That means the first transaction that enter that will get processed first, rather than via a gas price auction. That's also configurable, and this kind of mechanism is actually very useful for, let's say, games, whereby you can kind of like anti-front run people and try and, let's say, for example, you notice someone is going to kill you, and you try and front run the contract and make sure that you don't get killed. But if you tweak the gas mechanism adjustment at the protocol layer, you can make it first come first serve. So someone who want to actually attack you can actually attack you and can't get front run by you, and so on. So I think this is a quite interesting aspect. And lastly, the hardware specification for your, let's say, archival node, RPC node, that's also customizable. And on top of that, right, like what I mentioned, Appchain is a really lack of a vibrant ecosystem. What we are also building is what we call add-ons. This can be in the form of smart contract, utilities, SDK, and so on. And this provide additional service to your application-specific or thematic rollup. That means, let's say if your rollup is suited for NFT minting, you can have an NFT minting suit. Let's say an NFT contract that can be deployed for you without you coding the NFT contract the minting contract, and also have some fancy mechanism like bonding curve and so on. So this can be in the form of additional add-on that you can configure it while you are configuring your rollups. And we are also developing other stuff, for example, like a marketplace for your NFT, and also, let's say, verifier randomness for games and so on. So at this point, I want to emphasize that layer hacks, right, is if you want to build interesting dApps, right, you don't need to actually build dApps just as a single standalone dApp. You can actually build useful tooling, useful stuff that can be enriched a dApp ecosystem. For example, if there is a rollup that is dedicated to games, you can actually think of dApps that you want to build for this game rollup. For example, a game might just want to focus on the gaming aspect, but as a hackathon participant, you can come in and build, let's say, a leaderboard for the game, an in-game session wallet for the game, or other fancy ideas that you can think of. For example, like an in-game item that you can do borrowing, lending, buy now, pay later for the in-game item. So just basically think of it, just put on your thinking cap when you're participating in the layer hack. Think of ways where you can actually enrich rollups, and this is something that we also look forward to in the submission also. And just in case you are curious about how it look like, this is a screenshot. I probably can just briefly just show you how it looks like. This is still a demo version. We are still basically sometime we are probably still going to launch it about 1 or 2 months down the road. So, and also giving early access to, let's say, certain partners and so on. For example, we can, this is creating a flash layer, basically creating a rollups, and I can name it, let's say, a layer hack, and token decimal, I could keep it at default, maybe block gas 60 million, and block time 2 seconds. And this is where you this is just now the gas mechanism that I mentioned just now, which is the first come first serve. In this case, you can enable it. If you don't enable it, it will be the default Ethereum gas mechanics. Then you can do a next. Then after that, you can start configuring your stuff. For example, this is where you configure the native token. Let's say if you want it to be, don't want it to be 21 million because you want it to be higher than Bitcoin supply. Then let's make it 31 million. And Genesis account, this is the account where you get all the stuff. And after that, you can start to configure this confirmation page and you can start creating it. And from here, you will be basically, you will have a flash layer created for you. Based on our experience, a flash layer can be configured within 30 minutes. This means that at the backend, we will launch all the services on AWS EC2, and they will spin out L2 for you, bridge for you, faucet for you, and so on. And you have a layer for your own. And what you want to do for this layer is really up to your control. You already set certain limits that I mentioned just now. And from here onwards is deployment of your contracts. And if you want to install more add-ons, right now we still don't have the add-on page yet. So yeah, we are looking forward to more submission, be it dApps or add-ons that we can actually put into our this portal in the future once we launch it. Probably, I mean, in the public, launch it publicly probably next year or something like that. Yeah. So after that, you will just this will start creating, and there will be an RPC endpoint and so on. So yeah. Let me go back to this slide. So just now the UI is still not at the best UI yet, because what we are trying to do further, a step further, is trying to create templates for rollups. For example, if you are interested in a rollup that is specifically for NFT minting, then we can have a preset rollup. That means we pre-configure the rollup to certain environment that we feel that is the best for NFT minting, and it will help you automatically deploy your minting contract, bridge contract deployment, and also once you are done with the rollup, there's something called the automatic end-of-life settlement of the minted token. We have an interesting blog article that you can read on our blog post on how we actually mint on L2 and get it on L1 automatically. And of course, things like fair transaction sequencing, that means first come, first serve, block time about 2 seconds, 5 to 7 powerful RPC, and end-of-life settlement. And of course, similar stuff you can expect from a gaming layer and so on. So the idea is for us to create templates for, and after that, people can start deploying the rollups, install add-ons created by participants from the layer hacks and broader ecosystem, or even you can deploy your own dApps that need application-specific rollup or thematic rollup. So some of our showcase is this is our NFT mint, our OG batch NFT mint. You can actually look out for a detailed blog post on our blog. You can just go through the past blog posts. But basically the idea for our NFT mint is that we make use of something called an NFT flash layer. And within this flash layer, we deploy a rollup, and people start minting on the L2. And this L2 uses a valueless gas token. That means the gas token has no value. We will just airdrop the air token to all the whitelisted participants. Participants just start minting it. Within 18 seconds, it got sold out. In this case, it was about 400 NFT. We reached a TPS of roughly 50, but we stress tested it to a higher TPS before. And after that, right, the interesting part about our flash layer is that you can do an end-of-life settlement. That means you can actually shut down your rollup once you don't need. And after that, roll up all the contract states. That means roll up all the tokens to Ethereum or any VM chain of your choice, and you will get your NFT on that chain, and you can dispose of this rollup since you don't need it anymore. So this, in a way, you can save on our resources because you only need the rollup for, let's say, 1 day or 10 days or 1 month or so on. So that's one of the interesting things. If you are interested, just feel free to visit our blog to take a look. So the other one we did interesting one is also for gaming. So there's this game called Dark Forest using some ZK mechanics, and we fork the ZK game actually deploy it on our flash layer, a gaming flash layer in this case. Ran it for 3 days. Block time was 2 seconds, pretty smooth. Yeah, and basically there's no issue. And if we run the same volume of transaction on, let's say, Optimism or Arbitrum on that particular day, it will be about 50% or 60% of all Arbitrum dApp on that day. So imagine that a game that is running so heavy running on L2 or other L1, it will cause congestion, create a lot of issues, causing gas price to increase a lot. But in our case, because we are using a zero value gas token, you can just get it from the faucet. There's no congestion, there's no fee spiking, and everything runs smoothly. Yeah, and as I mentioned, we have a public devnet, and in the previous workshop, we have gone through the public devnet. Feel free to go through the previous workshop and take a look. And yeah, just to recap about our challenge. Our challenge is basically we are looking for apps, dApps, basically building on our devnet. Just now the link, you can go and visit it. And we are looking for any kinds of dApps, interesting dApps, be it games, social apps, NFT related dApps, building oracles, or if you want, you can build useful utility that will enrich the ecosystem. For example, if you think that in the GameFi world, they are lacking of a common gaming wallet, you think that you can build a very good gaming wallet that is very similar, for example, has meta transaction or whatever, feel free to build it. And as a for this gaming layer, and this can be considered like an add-on to our Flash layer. And we really appreciate this kind of dApps also. So be it a standalone dApp or be it a dApp that can complement an existing dApp per se. I think all these are very welcome, and we are rather flexible. Feel free to submit any interesting dApps that you find that you do to us. Yeah. And so yeah, some of our submission requirement. So first is basically built on our devnet. You can take a look at devnet.altlayer.io for more information. The submission should be in the form of a smart contract. Unless you are building some utility that doesn't have smart contract, then you probably can submit, let's say, in terms of the source code or other stuff. Simple front end to demonstrate your project, and also if there's any backend component. Open source your project, be it MIT, GPL v3 or other open source licenses. README will be very important. This is where this helps us to understand your project, help us understand why your project is very useful for the ecosystem, not just either for us or even for the broader crypto space and so on. And of course, a short video to explain, to walk us through your ideas, your project, and so on. And the idea, and we will really appreciate you can build product that can benefit application specific, or you directly utilize features for application specific. For example, you can build games for us, because games may not work that well in, let's say, Ethereum due to that shared block space. But for us, imagine you have a dedicated block space, then you can potentially engineer a game that is really on-chain rather than putting all your logic off-chain and bare minimum stuff on-chain. And some tips, I think just really be very creative. Good narrative around your idea really help. Good narratives tell us why your project really stand out, why is it important to this ecosystem. I think that will really help for your project team in trying to score the best among other teams. Reach out to us, feel free to reach out to us. We have I think Encode has a Discord. AltLayer also have a Discord. Inside our AltLayer Discord, we also have the Layer Hack channel. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll try to be there often to give you guidance and so on. And ensure that your product, I know there is a hackathon, it might not be 100% bug free, but at least the happy path, you have a very minimum bug happy path that can demonstrate your idea, demonstrate your project, and demonstrate that the robustness of this happy path at least. Yeah. And clear and concise documentation is always good to have, and good demos is also very good to have. And prices wise, we have first price 5K USD, second price 3K, and third price 2K. And on top of that, each team will get one AltLayer. I mean, each winning team will get one AltLayer OG NFT badge. This badge is basically the badge that we mint out in the campaign that I mentioned just now, the 400 badges. So you can win one of them pretty decent price right now on OpenSea. But the good thing about this OG batch is that we want to think of utility down the road. For example, this OG batch can give you early access to, let's say, certain AltLayer products. Let's say future devnet releases, you can get enter in for earlier and so on. So we are still thinking of useful utility for this OG NFT batch. And of course, if your project is very interesting, you come and talk to us, and we can provide you further funding, provide you further mentorship to build your product out. Yeah. So thank you. And yeah, before that, I just want to go back to this just now, that devnet.altlayer.io. So if you visit that page, you will notice this is the page where you can find out information about our devnet, RPC information, Explorer, Faucet, and things that can get you started. If you still feel that information is not enough, feel free to reach out to us on Discord. We will be happy to talk to you. Yeah, and these are our website, Twitter, Discord, QR code. Feel free to scan it.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks so much, Junho. Excuse me there. Any other last questions for our speaker while we have Junho here with us? Questions on the hackathon, how to use FlashLayer, general, how a person from a non-IT background but familiar with crypto layer 2s and Web3 can get involved with your project and FlashLayer.
I think the first thing that you can get involved is try and participate in Layer Hackathon. I think try and form a team whereby pair up with someone who has a technical background, and you come in with another background and build a cool project together. Or if not, you can also, if you don't want to build it within hackathon, just feel free to find another person or reach out to the Discord and find teammates and just build on us. And if you are interested to look for job opportunities at AltLayer, just feel free to take a look at our job board or drop us an email also. Our website has, I think, a page that shows the existing open vacancy and so on.
Great. See, next one. I would like to understand what scaling really means at the bottom line for a decentralized solution. I still have a very conflicted understanding for this. Scaling makes sense for the most part for centralized applications.
I see. Okay, so for scaling, right, you realize that the number one first thing that you hear often is congestion. Why there's congestion is because there's too many transactions going into the blockchain, and this is partly because the blockchain can't keep up with the doesn't have sufficient capacity. So there are many solutions out there that can actually solve this scaling. For example, sharding. Probably you might have heard a lot from Vitalik. So this means divide and conquer. So rather than everyone trying to process the same set of transaction, validating the same set of transaction, why not shard the transaction across different subset of the network? And after that, you can actually process the transaction and aggregate them together. So this is one form of scaling. The other form of scaling is basically like what I mentioned, rollups, L2s, whereby you are able to enjoy the security of an L1, but you have a L2 chain that provide you additional capacity. And L2 chain need not be like just a very generic computation chain. L2, it can be a very app-specific one or a thematic one. That means a rollup for, let's say, NFT mint, a rollup for games and so on. And after that, at the states have been regularly committed back to the L1, and you enjoy the security of an L1 chain. But in this case, you enjoy additional capacity. And Ethereum is going into this direction. If you take a look at their vision, they are trying to make L1 as the settlement layer. And whereas for L2s and all this onward, they want to make it as the execution layer, because L1 can't really scale for execution nowadays. So why not just offload it to L2 or other scaling solution? And after that, use Ethereum as the base layer for settlement. Yeah, hope that I answer your question.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think our next one, what is an app chain and how is it different from a side chain or layer 2 specifically?
Yeah, so first, Appchain has its own consensus. It runs its own consensus by itself. It's an independent chain. Most of and after that, you probably have some bridging capability back to L1. So it's basically similar to, let's say, you see in Polygon or yeah. And whereas for L2s are like example are like basically all the sponsors for layer hacks, optimism. I mean, on top of that, optimism, arbitrum, and even AltLayer, all this. So we are L2 basically. We are leveraging L1 for security, for settlement, by providing additional capacity. And what about app specific? This is something orthogonal to L2 per se. App specific is that with this additional capacity, you can actually reserve it for one specific use case rather than sharing it across multiple people. So just imagine that you have a road for yourself. That means there's no congestion because you own that piece of road, and you can just drive freely without congestion. So that's something as specific. And because you own this road, you can also invite other people to join you on this road and travel together. But you want to avoid the massive jam that you see nowadays on expressway and so on. So being as specific is you are very focused, you have dedicated space for yourself or restricted amount of dApps, and you enjoy the entire block space for you and your ecosystem. Of course, this comes at a cost. The cost is composability with other, let's say L1, because you can't, Appchain may not have DApps, may not have oracles or gas station network, all this. So there are certain tooling you need to actually build it yourself or have someone build it for you, or in the naive way, just do token bridging. So there is some trade-off involved, but the best thing you can get is basically dedicated block space. And I think that will be very useful for things like games and metaverse, where you want something that is really reserved for you. You don't want someone to do NFT mint and cause your game to lag like crazy. Yeah.
Great. I think maybe a couple more questions here. Who is running the validator for Rollup-as-a-service, or is this just some central nodes on kind of a cloud, for example?
Okay, so for now, for AltLayer, we are not right now is a centralized cloud node, but we are planning to do decentralization of the sequencer and all this stuff. That will come probably in a few months' time, and the idea is to have certain to have staking, and after that, using staking, you can run sequencer, and if a sequencer misbehave, can get slash and stuff like that. So of course, we have some other interesting ideas down the road. Just stay tuned. We will probably publish something interesting probably in a few months' time. Yeah.
Great. I think the last question here, how do we get OG badges? Well, it seems like, winning a prize in this hackathon. Is there any other ways?
Try harder in the hackathon. I think try as hard as you can to get the OG badge. Of course, you can get it from the OpenSea, but that require money. But of course, there will be other campaigns that will be running, be marketing, be technical campaign, or be anything. We might distribute additional OG badges to all these campaigns or future hackathons and so on. So we have reserved 200 for all these events and stuff like that. For us to use in the future also. Yeah.
Awesome. I think one more question here. Any plan for training specifically, kind of maybe a course?
I think it would be interesting to hear what the community would like to learn. And definitely we can conduct workshop along those lines. Basically, rather than us trying to think of what you need, let us know what you need. And we will be happy to conduct workshops anytime when we are available. So.
Amazing. And then I think he asked, where can I find the recordings? The recordings will be posted on our YouTube page tomorrow, and then it will be posted in that Medium article as well, with the write-up on the event and the slides. And that's our kind of Medium page as well. Looks like we got one more question. I would like to learn what is needed to build useful solutions. So I imagine maybe like what skills you might need to know, kind of what platforms to build on. Maybe that's kind of what they're asking.
I think one thing is that if you want to build solution, first you need the skill set. So in the Web3 space, I think being a smart contract developer can go a long way. Learn Solidity, and then let's say full stack, let's say Node.js and so on to build out your dApp. And if you are looking for ideas to build your solution, I think Layer Hack will provide some challenges in the challenge pack, I think, here. So there are some ideas that we list up, but these are not a comprehensive one. So feel free to think of more ideas that you want to build and so on. So the basically the sky is the limit. You can, with smart contract development skill, with full stack development skill, you can build anything you think that is useful for everyone.
Let's see. Is Rust a good programming language for layer 2 solutions?
Yes, I will say that is a good language to learn. May not be easy to learn, I would say, but with Rust you can actually go a long way. Be in the in the Cosmos space, be in the Solana space, or even be building a protocol. I think Rust is getting way popular these days. And for example, Substrate, very Rust heavy. You want to write pellets in Rust. Pellet is the smart contract for Substrate. I think Rust is definitely a very good language to learn. I think it's in very great demand nowadays. Yeah, if you are interested, just take up the challenge and learn Rust.
Great. I think one more question as well. Who do I contact on Discord for support during this hackathon? Well, if you're in our server, you can go to the private Discord channel that says Layer Hack, and then go to Technical Questions Forum and kind of post in there, as there'll be some individuals from AltLayer there answering questions, or you can go straight to kind of their own Discord server. And as Junhao said, they have a Layer Hack channel as well, and please ask in there, and they'll be periodically looking and kind of answering those questions. Is that the best answer there, or correct me if I'm wrong there?
That's the best answer there. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Great questions. Thanks, everybody. Any last questions here? I'll wait maybe another 30 seconds if individuals are still typing it out. But yeah, I posted that last Notion, kind of what Junhao was showcasing with the challenges. There's a lot of good ideas if you're looking where to start with AltLayer and kind of Flash layer as well within that. So please look at that. Ask me any questions, on our one-on-ones, etc. if your idea is good, and Discord's a great place to start as well. But do more webinars are in the future. Very informative. Sounds like these workshops are very great here, and our community really loves them. So we really appreciate Junhao for showing up today, as it is quite late his time in Asia. So thanks again for joining us and kind of showcasing this to our community and really engaging and learning. The post will be up tomorrow, kind of on the recording of this as well as the slides. So if you're looking for any of these, I guess, resources and such, you can look back and kind of go over it again in detail on our YouTube and Medium. We do have another workshop later today with Boba, so please join that one and kind of continue your learning. Sorry, excuse me, with ZK Sync. So please join that one later today. But thanks again, Junhao. Any last words from you? Yeah,
thanks a lot. All the best to all the hackathons participants, and for those who haven't signed up, just feel free to sign out. Very attractive prizes from all the sponsors. Yeah, just enjoy the layer hack and hope to see you guys in more hackathons. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.